You know how you've got hook picks and shovel picks and pickaxes and toothpicks and hoof picks, and they're all tools, right? But none of those picks are as big of a tool as a pick-me. And maybe it's because I occasionally do promotional content for tools that I ended up getting the biggest pick-me tool I've ever seen delivered directly to my inbox. So this particular pick-me tool that clearly wants some public promotion, and I am more than happy to oblige, goes by Broden. Big surprise. And here is what Broden sent me. Why do you support women murdering their own children for? I mean, I don't. I was never team Casey Anthony, so I'm not sure where you got that idea from. Why are you a fascist white man? I mean, I feel like I have a fairly extensive and solid pro-democracy, anti-fascist anthology. Seriously, most of my content is how fascism is bad and how we're moving towards it and how we should be more democratic. But to your credit, Broden, I am in fact a white man, so not a total loss. You're doing great. As to why I'm a white man, I guess that would be because both of my parents are of the Caucasian persuasion, and I happen to like some variety, so I took both an X and a Y chromosome. Why are you supporting Kamala Harris? Well, that's an easy one. Circling back to your previous question about fascism, I didn't want fascism. So of the two options we had, I just decided to vote for the one that didn't openly say that they wanted to be a dictator, wanted to lock up their political enemies, and wished that they had Adolf's generals. You know, the one not saying fashy shit and having the Red Armband Brigade at half their rallies. There was also some of Kamala's policy points I supported more than Saffron Saddam's, but it was mostly the fascism thing. Yeah, that was the main thing. I am not fake, nor am I spamming you. Yeah, that definitely sounds like what a not fake non-spammer would say. Here's the thing, this gay man right here hasn't ever been mistreated by any other Trump supporter for being gay. Well, here's the thing. To be mistreated by them, you'd probably have to have a social life where you interacted with, other people. Since you seem to spend a bunch of time sending whiny messages to random content creators who hurt your feelings, I get the feeling you don't get out much to, be mistreated. But that doesn't change the fact that countless members of the LGBTQ community have been bullied, harassed, accosted, assaulted, and even murdered by your little treason tribe. But since it hasn't happened to you personally, supposedly, the overwhelming lived experiences of the entire LGBTQ community just don't matter, which is painfully on par for a Trump supporter. And then Broden closes it off with, Trump has always supported gay people. Please get your facts in order, little bitch. Sorry, I was under the impression from the rest of this bitchy little message you sent me that you weren't really worried about facts. You're just worried about feelings, your own feelings in particular. Because there was no facts, but a whole lot of feelings in that little snowflake meltdown of a word salad you sent me. But we can do facts. I like facts. So let me get out my little bitch book of facts and see how Trump has supported gay people here. I'm lying. I don't actually have a book. I have Google, which is free, and you probably should have utilized before sending me this incredibly stupid message. 2019, Trump supported gay people by opposing the Equality Act. That was the act to add civil rights protections to the LGBTQ community by making sure that they couldn't be discriminated against for their orientation or gender identity. And to me, actively wanting it to be legal to discriminate against gay people for being gay seems like a weird way to support gay people, but we all have different interpretations of things, I guess. Anyway, on to the next page in my little bitch book of facts. Here we have judicial nominations. Now there's a lot because presidents actually appoint all federal judges, not just SCOTUS, but we'll just stick to the SCOTUS highlight reel. First, there's Trump appointee Neil Gorsuch. In 2017, he was a dissenting opinion in the court's ruling to overturn an Arkansas law that denied same-sex couples the ability to put their names on their child's birth certificate. He also voted with Alito to hear the appeal of a Washington florist who had discriminated against a same-sex couple. And then there's Amy Coney Barrett, who's a Christian nationalist straight out of The Handmaid's Tale. She's a part of this weird, secretive, culty Christian group called People of Praise. They really hate gay people, and they've got 3 schools with some super anti-LGBTQ policies, including not accepting students who have same-sex parents. They actively teach that homosexuality is an abomination against God, and they refuse to hire openly gay teachers. And Amy was a trustee and sat on the board of those schools. She also said Title IX shouldn't extend to transgender people. She has repeatedly misgendered trans people, and she has referred to people's orientation as preferences. So yeah, a real champion of gay people there. And then there's Judge Light, who cried on national television during his Senate confirmation hearings about how much he loves boofing beers with his bros. So with that, you think that he would be more supportive of the LGBTQ community, because that certainly doesn't seem like the straightest way to get drunk, but he's not. I do think, though, that this is probably because when he hired an architect to build his house, he told him, I don't want a living room or a bathroom or a kitchen. I just want the whole house to be closet space. And now that's where he lives. Which is also probably the reason he 1P rapped all of those women, to try and prove that he wasn't actually gay after boofing a bunch of beers with his bros. Fuck, I just figured it out. You know why Trump supporters are so obsessed with calling themselves alphas and comparing themselves to wolves and lions, not sheep and all that bullshit? Because they're all predators. I don't know why that took me so long. Anyway, Anyway, since being on the bench, Kavanaugh has dissented against the court extending Title VII civil rights protections to the LGBTQ community. So yeah, those are the 3 Supreme Court justices that Trump appointed to, show his support for the gay community. There's also Trump's Health and Human Services Department, which gutted Rule 1557 from the ACA. And that was the rule that protected LGBTQ people from discrimination in a healthcare setting. In Trump's Agenda 47, he's vowed to outlaw gender-affirming care for trans youth, which is a move that has been statistically proven to increase teen suicide rates. So plot twist, you actually voted for a fascist who wants to pass legislation that will kill children. Good job. Trump's Department of Housing and Urban Development proposed a rule that would have allowed homeless shelters to turn away LGBTQ people, because the best way to support gay people is making them homeless. The Department of Education rolled back protections for LGBTQ students, and they also suspended all investigations into LGBTQ discrimination in schools. But hey, let's not stop with the LGBTQ community, because you also brought up race, gender, and your incredibly flawed views on abortion. Remember, it's Trump's Supreme Court justices who are responsible for rolling back affirmative action, which has a pretty negative effect on minority communities. Then there's all the programs he's gutted that minority communities rely on, cut funding for education services that minority communities rely on. He's supported voucher programs which allow rich white people to take public school funding from poor minority communities to subsidize their kids' private school tuition. His attacks on healthcare and the ACA have wreaked havoc on already underserved minority communities' ability to access healthcare. Oh, and speaking of healthcare, abortion, which is healthcare, it was his judges who overturned the ruling that protected access to that healthcare, and that has resulted in an exodus of reproductive healthcare professionals from states that have banned reproductive healthcare, which means that the women who actually want to have a child in these states where reproductive healthcare is banned, they don't have access to doctors to provide them with the healthcare they need to have a safe and healthy pregnancy. And this has resulted in numerous preventable miscarriages, severe and permanent injury to mothers, and numerous preventable deaths of mothers and their infants. In fact, states with abortion bans saw an increase of over 50% in maternal mortality rates and over 16% in infant mortality rates. Oh, right, and race, we were talking about that too. Well, as a white man reading my little bitch book of facts here, turns out that black women, even before any abortion bans, have a 3 times higher maternal mortality rate than white women. And that's because of, the conservative policies you support that limit healthcare access to poor minority communities, and also a heavy dose of structural institutionalized racism in the healthcare industry. But let's take that one step further now. Do you know which states have the highest population of black residents? Florida, Texas, and Georgia. Do you know which states have some of the strictest abortion bans in the country? I'll give you 3 guesses and it's open book. You see where I'm going with this? No? Do I really need to spell it out? Abortion bans are fascist laws that kill women and children, and it just so happens that they kill black women and children the most. So as a supposedly totally real, not fake, not spamming black gay man for Trump, that's what you support. You have knowingly, actively participated in the preventable deaths of women and children, and disproportionately black women and children, which to me sort of feels a lot like murder, if that's the word we're gonna throw around. But who's splitting hairs? So I'll leave you with one last little question there, Broden. Do you think I got my facts straight? Cause I sure as shit feel like I did. Little bitch.